Hey friends, turns out I did a disinformation, and I would like to explain what happened and how we can prevent this from happening in the future. The claim that I made in the last video, or one of the last videos, is that Google's Bard was reading your Gmails in order to train itself, and that this was a privacy violation that was a grave concern. The source that I cited was an expert who had tweeted something. I tend to trust experts, but this expert had been misinformed in what turns out was kind of a comedic way, but let me explain. Let's go a little deeper. Margaret Mitchell is an AI ethics expert who used to work at Google, and I sort of thought that was a reliable source, and she cited somebody who I thought was a reliable source. Hilariously, there is an entire book about this, which is called The Misinformation Age by Caitlin O'Connor and James Weatherall. This book has many claims in it, but one of the ones that I found most interesting is that even in communities of people who cite their sources, occasionally things get miscited and moved around. Even ideal reasoners are going to mess things up. So am I saying this to let myself off the hook because I got something wrong because I cited an expert? Kind of, but let me take a little bit more ownership than that. Usually when I cite, Usually when I make videos, I cite something like, 6 books per video. This is part of how I work. But in the case of artificial intelligence, in the case of ChatGPT, in the case of Bard, in the case of all these emerging technologies, it takes years to write a book. These things are going to be happening faster than we have the ability to write books about. And the other reason that's a lot less fun, but I also still need to admit, is I've been speeding up the production of my videos to keep up with the demand of how the algorithms work and how financially unviable like educational content like mine on the internet can be. I've been speeding myself up, and as a result, I bungled it and I didn't check sources in a way that I should have. So that's just on me. Finally got the white balance right. I don't really know how to use cameras. But let's back up for a minute, because there's a lot of different ways that we could interpret this. The first, if I wanted to, I could just start citing a bunch of other AI sources in your general direction to rebuild my sense of credibility with you, because that's something that I feel like the need to do, that I just messed up something and I'm got egg on my face. Let me just flex a lot and be like, no, I really do usually know what I'm talking about. Here's a bunch of books, there's a bunch of sites. You've seen my channel, you've seen me just throwing stacks of books in front of the camera. But I think there's maybe a better approach, which is just to say, I straight up messed this up. I didn't check deep enough into the source material, and I was moving too quickly, and I told you all something that is not true, which is not what I'm supposed to do as a person who's on the internet telling you important things. So I will do what I can to keep working with my systems that work and citing scholarly sources when appropriate. But since AI is cutting edge, bleeding edge developing, I'm just going to need to try harder in the future to just keep this going. So for what it's worth, I'm sorry, I'm going to try to improve this. With that out of the way, there is something funny about all of this, which is, I said, the source. The source for this all was Margaret Mitchell citing someone else on Twitter who was citing something else, and the claim was that Bard was using your Gmail. What was the original source, and why was the original source wrong? Drum roll please, it was Bard. The original source was the AI itself. Someone asked Bard, where are you getting your data from? And Bard said, LOL, I'm reading your Gmail. And then Google had to come out and say, no, we're not doing that. We promise we're not doing that. We really pinky swear promise. So this error is in fact emblematic of the specific kind of error that we're going to be seeing lots more of. And I want to give you one example of that comes from this book, Battling the Big Lie by Dan Pfeiffer. One of the central things that happens is the amplification of crazy things as soon as they get retweeted or reposted by one semi-legitimate source. When a crazy conspiracy person says something about Pizzagate and Clintons and just wackadoo bonkers stuff, all it takes is one Tommy Lahren or one Tucker Carlson or one Jordan Peterson or one Elon Musk to repost it, and all of a sudden it has this veneer of reality and this veneer of correctness. Why is that such a pernicious, terrible cycle? because it is part of how the disinformation pipeline works. I have written about this in other videos. I'll link it below if you're on YouTube and you want to see that particular video. But we have examples of this being part of how disinformation campaigns work. Like a root system, collects water from lots of little teensy tiny roots and then concentrates them into one stem. Targeted disinformation campaigns often start on Reddit posts because that's the lowest security place, and contemporary disinformation campaigns are going to be starting on Twitter because that's one of the lower security places. If you can buy 50 bots, 500 bots saying something, and then you can get 25 or 50 or a few hundred actual humans to repost the thing, all of a sudden the surveillance algorithms, the bots that are responsible for telling whether or not something was created by a human or by a bot, gets confused because real humans are starting to post it. This is exactly what happened. Bard made up a fact. AIs like ChatGPT and like Bard make up facts all the time. This is one of the problems that it needs to be solved and is being worked on. But then a human reposted it. And that it added that little veneer of credibility, and that little veneer of credibility made it so that we thought that it was the truth. We meaning I thought that it was the truth, and I told you about it, and we meaning I did. Some people that I trust on Twitter, and I did, and then I added a veneer of credibility, and then I misinformed 500,000 people about it. So, sobering moment of the responsibility of the platform that you've placed in front of me. What else? If you are interested in this hierarchy of disinformation, one place you can look is this book, Battling the Big Lie by Dan Pfeiffer. He used to work for President Obama. Now that I'm saying that out loud, the people who most need to read the book probably won't read it. Algorithmic radicalization. All right, that's about it for me tonight. I have to go do work for clients. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. I will talk to you in the next one. Bye.